They say you shouldn't meet your heroes, but how about copying your heroes if you're a writer? Well, we all have that writer we want to emulate, who we would love to be, the book you wish you had written. So how do you get their vibe into your writing blood without actually being a weirdo who tries to mimic them? Here are 2 strategies I love. Let's go. At some point when I was working on my first novel, I decided that I wanted to write it in all emails. Like, I wanted to tell the entire story through only email. But how do you tell an entire story across a novel in only email? I knew of one chapter in Jennifer Egan's novel, A Visit from the Goon Squad, that's written in PowerPoint slides. It's a great novel if you haven't checked it out. But that was just one chapter, you know, and it was PowerPoint. Like, how did I do that with a whole story, like a whole book, but in email? Well, then I found Where'd You Go, Bernadette by Maria Simple. A book told through email. Just what I was looking for. I sat down and I actually made a chart. Okay, what kind of email is on page 1? How about page 2? Like, I had a spreadsheet where I was documenting, story-wise, what each email in her book was doing to advance the narrative. I didn't fill out the chart for her entire book, only the first maybe 20 pages or so, but doing this gave me a sense of her pacing, like how fast a story like this should be unfolding. So that's the first strategy that I want to share with you, and I really like it. Strategy 1 is to dissect another writer's story structure. To use this strategy, you'll actually make a kind of reverse outline of someone else's story that you love, like I did with Where'd You Go, Bernadette. Sit down and block it out. I mean, I made an actual table in a Google spreadsheet. Column 1, the page number. Column 2, what's happening on that page. I don't do this for the whole book. Like I said, I'm not suggesting you do it for a whole book. That would take forever and also, frankly, be unnecessary. I think you can learn a lot even doing this for 12, 15 pages. What do you notice about pacing that you can learn from? It's a fascinating exercise and one I recommend to writers I work with all the time when they're having trouble with their pacing or their story structure. Okay, now for the second strategy, which is a little different. Back when I was in my 20s, I was worried that I wasn't smart enough to be a writer, specifically that I didn't have a big enough vocabulary. I had read somewhere that Shakespeare's vocabulary was 25,000 words or something. So I ordered a pocket digital dictionary. Now, this was not only before smartphones, but before Amazon. I told you I'm ancient. So this pocket dictionary I had to find myself, and it did not arrive via Prime in 48 hours, but it was digital. It was about the size of a paperback book, and I carried it with me in my bag so that I could look up words that I didn't know as I heard them. I know, it was very cute, if a little bit sad, because what I did not realize until doing this exercise that I'm about to describe to you is that my vocabulary was perfectly fine. For this exercise, you're going to pick a writer that you love. Not a writer everyone else loves, okay? Not Shakespeare if you don't secretly and personally love Shakespeare. Not secretly, but if you personally love Shakespeare. A writer you love, you know, whether that's Suzanne Collins, who wrote The Hunger Games, or Truman Capote. Choose a paragraph that you think is great. You just like it. Not because you think it's smart, but because when you read it like a reader, like the reader you are, you feel something. Or you visualize something. It's powerful in that way. Strategy 2 is copy a paragraph you love word for word by hand. Trust me, just do it. Don't type it, copy it by hand. When you finish copying the paragraph, what do you notice? I'll tell you what I've noticed. That my favorite authors very rarely use words I don't know. Mostly, they use the same words I use in life. They're just really good at stringing those words together. This was a huge relief to me as a young writer. It felt like a door opening because it meant I already had the tools. I had the raw materials. I didn't have loads of homework and vocab memorization to do before I wrote a great story. I could write one with the vocabulary, with the materials I already had. I just had to learn to put them together. Now, sure, occasionally authors that I've loved, who I've done this with, have used words I don't know, but That's never changed, even as I've gotten older and decades have passed and my vocabulary has increased. I mean, we just learn new words all the time, and that's a good thing that authors use words I don't know and then I learn them. It doesn't mean anything about my capacity to write. Now, here's a really fun part. If you want to take this exercise even further, here's an advanced version of it that you can try. After you copy down a sentence or paragraph that you love, remove all of the substantive words so that you're only left with the words that are keeping the sentence hanging together. Like, if the sentence were, "She tried to blow up the balloon and fainted," you could change it to blank tried to blank, and then fill in the template with your own words, so that it makes sense in your own story. To be clear, I'm not talking about writing your whole story or book in this manner. Like, please don't do that. The purpose of this is to experiment with different sentence structures by actually sampling the writing styles of your favorite authors and getting those styles into your body. For example, when I did this more advanced version of the exercise by taking out the substantive words and putting in my own, I discovered that my default sentence structure tends to be short and straightforward, while many authors I admire are more willing to compose longer, winding sentences. So this exercise gave me freedom to explore more and the desire to do so. And that's the idea. By copying, you'll stretch your writing muscles and discover new stylistic avenues to explore. It's all about expanding possibility. If you want to become more like your favorite author, those are my 2 favorite copying strategies. Speaking of writing, are you writing a book or do you want to write a book? Because if so, I would love to hear from you. When I'm not writing, my mission is to help writers write their dream books. I love it. And if you're curious to know more, I have a video walking you through my 4 notebooks method for writing a novel. You can get that video along with my free template for using the 4 notebooks method to write your novel by applying to my program, the Book Incubator, at the link below. It's a 12-month MFA alternative, and the application is just 2 questions. I just ask you to tell me a little bit about you and your book or your book idea. It'll take you less than 5 minutes. So go to the link below or go to thebookincubator.com. I really hope to hear from you.